Dialysis is not the inevitable sequela of kidney disease, much to the difference of opinion in modern medicine. Today, we're here to show you how it's possible to turn kidney failure into kidney success. Welcome back to Metabolic Health Solutions, where we empower health practitioners and self healers to address the root causes of metabolic imbalances and get real results. I'm Dr. Ritamarie Loscalzo. I'm the founder of the Institute of Nutritional Endocrinology. And my guest today is Robin Rose, MD, who's been a world traveler, a health food chef, journalist, professional dancer, and artist. Quite a collection of different professions, I will say. He studied as a family nurse and practiced as a family nurse practitioner, then went on to medical school. She was learning while she was a family nurse practitioner nutrition, herbal medicine, acupuncture, massage, and homeopathy. And then she decided to bite the bullet and go to medical school and completed a residency in family medicine. And she created a whole new paradigm from her own experiences of kidney success. How do you engage nature, mind, and spirit to achieve the innate healing that leads to thriving? And we all have that, right? We all have our innate healers. We just get in our way with modern life and all the stuff that's out there. And it's just so wonderful to see somebody who's conventional medicine, Western medicine trained, and has practiced that to, through her own health crisis, turned it around and created a whole system that she calls Renology. And we'll be talking about that in a little bit. Her recent book is Renology Peptides, and it dives into the root causes of kidney disease and how to succeed using these special peptides. So, hello and welcome. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you. I am too.
Yeah. So, Renology is an interesting word, right? It's a new word, it's something that you coined.
I coined it because nephrology basically was saying nobody knows what the word renal means, so we're not going to use it anymore. And I thought, okay, I'm looking at kidney from the early stages, primary care. Somebody doesn't feel good, they walk in, could be any number of 1,000 different things.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's kidney. And what do you do? That's not failure. It's just the
No.
beginnings. And so I thought, okay, I'm gonna claim Renology as primary care kidney with a different attitude, with a regeneration and a normalization potential that isn't talked about in nephrology. God bless them, they have very sick patients. Part of it is because early on, kidney isn't even recognized. And that's part of why I'm doing so much and talking about this so much because if we talk about it early and we understand there's things to do, you see amazing, miraculous recoveries. Innate healing, it is.
Exactly. And you know what I think I talk about this all the time to my patients and to the public and when I'm speaking, is that prevention is so much easier to accomplish than is pathology reversal, right? And who wants to get to pathology when you can prevent things and you can catch it in early stages? And that's a big problem in I see in Western medicine is a lot of the testing and the scanning and all, they wait until it's pathology, right? Rather than looking at those early signs and saying, "Something was probably there that we could tell you were heading towards kidney issues." They weren't looking at it appropriately, right? So I would love to hear a little bit about that, and, how kidney does decline. We hear about it in regards to diabetes, we hear about it in regards to all sorts of things. There's a lot of reasons, polycystic kidneys and all this stuff. So what is that landscape? What is it that causes the kidneys to start to decline? And what does that look like early on so that people know how to catch it early on? And then we're going to talk about renology and how do you get in there with the peptides and all that if you have, headed on that direction.
Yeah. Well, first thing I want to say is that the lab work is available every panel. When you go in to see any doctor, often you get a urinalysis, a CBC, and a chemistry panel. There's so
Right.
many clues on those. But there's a big but here. The EGFR, glomerular filtration rate, is it's changing, noted
Mm,
as greater than 60, normal. And I'm here to disagree with that. So you have to know there's stages. There's stage one, you can celebrate. Don't eat toxic stuff and don't breathe icky fumes. I mean, it's sort of obvious. Stage two, however, is where I step in saying, at this point, there's changes happening that functional medicine knows about, dysbiosis, endothelial damage, heavy metals, toxic exposures. Then you look at glucotoxicity, any kind of cardiovascular anything, any autoimmune anything, neoplastic anything,
Mhm.
are portals into this decline that sadly is ignored. So it's not even in the statistics. The statistics already sound absolutely horrible, like up to 15% of adults, but they don't even include stage two. So, in stage two, people don't really know. It's vague symptoms, and that's what makes it challenging.
Mhm.
There could be fatigue, there could be, facial swelling, digestive stuff, sleep issues,
Everybody that we see on a regular basis has all those symptoms.
which is why primary care is really an incredible specialty that gets,
Right.
disregarded as a potent place. And sadly, there's a little bit too much pat and blow.
Wait till it becomes a pathology, so we have a drug or a surgery to give you.
And my practice, I mean, I practiced for a long time. It was always about this. Before I became aware that our medical community, both the allopathic community and the holistic functional community, isn't up to speed with kidney. It was
Mhm.
shocking. I mean, some of the brilliant people that I knew couldn't help me when I was struggling. And I was just about at stage four with, when are you going to be ready? I
Right.
ain't ready. Offer me something useful. And so I sat here in this very beautiful place with internet and just started looking stuff up.
So I just wanted to comment about what you said. In the olden days, it would be less than 60, above 60. Now, a lot of the labs, the labs I'm using anyway, we see numbers. I've seen them as low as 31. I've seen them as high as 98.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what's your experience with that?
That's changing. Not all labs are doing it. The
Okay.
other the other factor that we're getting rid of is there's been a discrepant number for blacks.
Yeah, I always wondered about that.
They said, well, their bones are bigger or whatever. What it does is it keeps many black people from getting the care they need because it falsely elevates the number. And, I've actually always ignored that.
Yeah,
And, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, there's been so much interaction between races. There isn't anybody. It's an absolutely ridiculous thing. So you throw that out, make believe it isn't even on your paper if you see it, and ultimately. The GFR is helpful. There's another lab called Sciatin C.
yes, yes.
And the creatinine is all we had for years,
Mhm.
traditionally. It's a toxin that when kidney decline happens will rise. There's other
Right.
things that cause that, and like little skinny old ladies have low creatinines. That included me. And so it gives you false security because the creatinine is part of the formula to figure out the estimated GFR.
Okay. Got it.
And so you use it, but is it really accurate? And I've had a lot of people do a GFR and a cystatin C, and they're fairly normal with the cystatin C, but the GFR is showing some difficulty. In my mind, there's primary prevention. Nobody should mess up their kidneys.
Right?
So
They're
it's like
pretty
somebody,
critical. Yes.
and we've ignored them. We've done the brain thing, we've done the heart thing. Kidneys coming
Yeah.
because
Well, I
it's
believe you
collecting.
because yeah, because you look at summits, right? You look at podcasts, you look at blogs, and people focus on gut. They focus on gut a lot. They focus on the heart, but I haven't seen any on kidney. So you're gonna have to do a kidney summit to get the education out there.
It's coming because there's a conference happening in August, an integrative kidney conference,
Mm.
put on by Ellie Campbell.
Oh, great. Yeah,
I don't travel, so I'm gonna do a recorded talk, but there's a lot of wonderful speakers, and
great.
I think it's worthy if you can get yourself to Atlanta in August. It's a good way to learn. I mean, we all have to learn this because ignoring kidney means every other cell in the body has a certain aspect that's being neglected. The
Yeah.
kidney influences everything.
So those of us who are kind of front lines in doing functional blood chemistry analysis, not just blood chemistry analysis,
Yeah.
but we're looking at we have all kinds of guidelines. And the guidelines for the EGFR is, if it's high, great, and if it's too low, but what do you have a specific range that you would say, "Hey, let's really use this as a red flag?" Like I know if somebody has a 90, they're okay. If somebody has a 30, they're not okay. So where do you like to look?
70 or 80, I
Okay.
start saying, look, there's some decline.
Yeah.
Let's look. Look
Yeah.
at heavy metals, do an oat test, Nutrival, or, that one of
Right.
those wonderful nutrient, some evaluation of dysbiosis,
Yeah.
heavy metal panel. I mean, these are all, mitochondrial evaluation because
Right.
in stage two, there is so much going on that we don't see clinically. You can do a
Yeah.
physical exam. You don't see much. The labs don't look that bad, but there are tricks. I'm a big fan of following phosphorus.
Okay.
Phosphorus is you need it, but when there's kidney decline, the body can't get rid of the phosphorus. And here's the clue with this: the normal range is not accurate for kidney. Mid range, 3.5, and below is okay. So a lot of people get missed. Phosphorus in excess steals calcium from the bones and puts it in the arteries.
Yeah.
Two big things that happen later on down the line in kidney disease. And so early on, let's look at this. There's so many things to do that are natural. In the conventional world, let's wait until it's bad and then we'll give you a drug.
No.
Okay, there's
No.
many things that we can do, but there's FGF-23,
Okay.
fibroblast growth factor, that tends to elevate before the phosphorus shows up, and yet it says, pay attention to phosphorus. Then we start looking at things like diet and stresses and dysbiosis, because there are reasons along with kidney why phosphorus would be getting dysfunctional. And that's just one. There's so many. I mean, there's so many ways to enter into kidney awareness, and phosphorus is a big one that I think is kind of neglected conventionally until it's very late.
Yeah. And that's one that's on along with GFR, of course, and creatinine, that's on your standard metabolic panel. The cystatin you've got to order separately.
And I have to say, we got to get this lab now. Ah, I just got labs. I realize that,
But we need this yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that happens all the time, in my practice in the groups that I work with, because the standard medical panel is so antiquated and so inadequate. They're missing so
Yeah,
many markers of early signs of cardiovascular disease, kidney disease, metabolic dysfunction, right? Even as far as metabolic, something as simple as glucose dysregulation. They're still just testing fasting glucose. And glucose dysregulation is a common cause of kidney dysfunction.
absolutely. And there's vicious cycles. So kidney declines, you get metabolic, you get cardiovascular, these. So the vicious cycles, I say in Renology, we turn them into precious cycles because we do have things to do.
So tell us what your definition of Renology is and how you came to, well, I know how you came to be interested in it. Like many of us, you come to be interested in what you need most for yourself or your
Exactly.
family. But how do you define Renology?
Well, when most people hear kidney, they say, oh, are you on dialysis? You have kidney failure? And I'll tell you what, that word failure affects the limbic system. not
Mm,
nicely. And so one day I thought, I don't want kidney failure. I want kidney success. It
nice.
was kind of like this, like, oh, I did a happy dance. And then I decided, since the term renal isn't being used as much in nephrology, let's take that term and create for our functional community a renewed paradigm about kidney, that kidney can be reversed, the damages can be reversed. I have a Australian naturopath doc friend, Fiona Chin, who tells me, I mean, they're actually reversing people on dialysis. And so it really is a mindset. When you get old, it's not necessary that your kidneys are going to decline. Even if you have declined, there is the possibility of fixing it. However, and this is like the biggest however, willingness. Because if you're addicted to the habits that cause problems and you're not willing to give them up, you might be in trouble.
You're in
Those are the
trouble.
people you say, well, here's your meds and here's, you
Right.
know, that's always there. I can't say I don't have judgment, but no judgment. I mean, everybody chooses. And yet I've been a cheerleader for how do I get past people's inability to see the long haul. Like, this
Right.
feels good now, but what's going to happen
Right.
10 years, 20 years, 30
I
years later is going to come like way
It'll
faster
it'll
than I
come
thought it would.
faster than I thought too, really.
How did I get here? Three-quarters of a century later, I'm still talking about willingness, get rid of sugar, get rid of junk, eat organic. Plant-based protein really helps with kidneys. Start early. It doesn't mean you never eat anything animal, but every patient is different. Every one of
Right.
us has a unique entry point. And
Yes.
so it really takes being thorough. This isn't one of these, God forbid, 7-minute visits.
Oh god.
Ridiculous.
Don't get me started on that. That's a big failure in medicine. That's the thing we need to change. Here's the thing I think. People need to feel safe with you. They need to feel like you care. That you can't show that you care in 7 minutes and take a history and, do all this other you can't do it, right? So we need that's why Reinvent Healthcare came about was we need to change this system. We need to reinvent it to a system that's about people, about caring for people, putting the care back in healthcare. We're trying to create a system where everybody's focused on not disease management, but optimal health. And what you just said about helping people to see the long haul, if they're not willing to see the long haul, I mean, I'm not overly direct with people, but I'll say these are the things that I have in my toolbox that I've had success with over the last 33 years in practice. And if you want to do something different, I don't know how it's going to work out. And if you want to continue to do the things you've been doing up till now that got you here, how'd that work out so far? Like,
Yeah,
give something else a chance and
exactly.
believe in yourself and believe in your self healer. Even though it's been sleeping for a while because of the habits, we can reawaken it and help you to be well.
And I call this like the tree of life
Yeah.
of the kidney tree of life. And I do all kinds of diagrams. They evolve in time. But
Nice.
it starts out with diet. Diet is first.
Yeah.
Honesty, true confession, you know, get rid of sugar, get rid of junk. That could be a whole conversation. Then there's sleep. So
Yeah.
many people with kidney issues aren't sleeping well, and you
Right.
have to. And
Yeah.
kidney decline interferes with things about sleep. So there's need to
The
attend to
vicious
stuff.
cycle again. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then exercise isn't optional.
Yep.
You've got to move it or lose it, basically.
Yeah.
Toxins is a whole huge conversation
Right.
in the food, in the mind, under your bathroom sink, the air, the soil, all of this. So caution. I mean, I don't paint anymore. I had somebody else paint this lovely lavender ceiling because there's fumes. And as I want to get better, anything I inhale, anything that goes on my skin, anything that goes in my mouth is going to influence the kidney. So there's that. And so, you're right, with functional approach, stage 2 isn't like a death sentence. It isn't this failure thing. It's like, let's optimize. Because when kidneys aren't working well, things stop being optimal. And I can tell you very clearly that that's so. I mean, the brain isn't working, the liver is sluggish. And so, the book that I wrote really cameos the fact that kidney influences the eyes, the brain, the thyroid, the thymus, the parathyroid is a huge conversation. It affects the liver, it affects the gut hugely, it affects the back, and so how do you address all of these things is really the art of rhenology to be that thorough and,
Right.
you can't say hello in 7 minutes with that.
With what you're saying, it says to me that, we have so much specialization these days, right? We try to
Yeah.
look at this organ or this system in isolation from the rest. That's kind of what Western medicine does. And functional, we're looking at more of a, but still we're not like looking at all of it. We're looking at those pieces. And what you just said is the kidney is involved with all of it. But also, what I want to find out more about is you named your book Renology Peptides. So not that there's a magic bullet solution to any health condition, right? But there are things that help support the recovery in addition to all the things you just mentioned, the diet, the sleep, the stress levels, the toxicity, et cetera. So I'd love to hear more about the peptides involvement and how you
Yeah.
discovered that and, how did you turn your situation around with that?
You know, Anybody in the peptide world needs to know this. They don't really work unless you do all of this, what we call the low hanging fruit: the diet, the exercise, the sleep, the hydration, stress, toxins has to happen. And then there's a huge array of supplements, nutrient supplements, mineral supplements, TUDCA. I mean, the list is huge. And I decided I was going to write this book, and I think it would have taken me 100 years to put it all together as I was envisioning it. So that's a whole nother set of encyclopedias. But I got my GFR from 30, which I felt like poop, up to 51 before I discovered peptides.
And that was through what you just said, right? That was through
All that
addressing the
stuff.
diet, addressing the hydration, addressing the nutrient imbalances.
Discipline, yoga, kidney yoga.
Kidney
Seriously,
yoga, okay,
you've
that's
got to
another
mean it.
story I wanna hear about.
The
Okay.
yoga of intention. People talk about,
Yeah,
"Oh, be a kidney warrior," and I was like, "No, I'm a kidney yogi." I'm
nice.
looking for kidney peace, not kidney
The
war.
kidney war.
And so
Yeah.
Beth Shirley, who's the nitric oxide genius, was the one who I heard this from. Nitric oxide, by the way, is damned in kidney and is hugely important for vascular health. So that's diet and supplement conversation. But she was telling somebody else that I was overhearing the conversation that BPC 157 enhances nitric oxide. And I did the like, oh my God, I got to know about this. So I wag her flag a lot because she's been an incredible help to me. And I started looking at the larger peptides, so just I'm sure most of your audience understands this, but the body's made of a lot of proteins, and peptides are little fragments of proteins. The government has changed it, but I still think peptides are from 2 to 50 amino acids. So they're smaller chains. Proteins can be hundreds and all folded up and have different actions. Peptides are little. And in fact, there are even tinier peptides. The very small ones can be 2 to 4 to 7 amino acids. Those can be oral. The larger ones, like insulin, need to be injected subcutaneously. And so then I discovered the bioregulator peptides, which is what I used in the book to illustrate kidney with. I say whole body regeneration through the lens of kidney because it really is a whole body assessment. the bioregulators are so small that they actually can enter the cell without a receptor. They can enter the nucleus effortlessly. And then what they do, and this is just extraordinary to me, they lodge in the DNA, they stretch it open, and then each one, and there's basically 21 of them with an array of some others, repair epigenetic damage, each uniquely. And each one of them hones to the tissues from which they originate. There's different classes of them. Some of them are synthetic, and they're identical to what the body makes. And some of them are animal based. They come from very well tested, pigs and cows, and their peptides are identical to humans. So the body doesn't recognize it as foreign. And therefore, there's not very many side effects, if any. I mean, I've been in touch, I've been graced with a connection with the wife of the man who discovered all of these. He's a Russian researcher, a gerontologist, and was ordered by the Soviet military to discover these to protect their military from our military. And he did. And after he was out of the military, he created an institute, got tons of research money, and so did a lot of work. Then the Soviet Union fell apart and he had the institute. His wife is a pediatrician and she mentored me quite a bit. I'm very grateful to her, Svetlana Trofimova. I've not met her. Only, and a lot of the names of these things are like, I still have to look up the names of some of them. I get them mixed up.
Well, there's a lot of them, right? Yeah, and if they're Russian words, it's hard to remember. Before you go on, this is real fascinating. I wanna go back to you said that the bioregulator peptides are very small. Does that mean that they are then, consumable orally, and does that mean that we can get them without prescription?
And yes, correct.
Okay.
They are considered supplements. There are some very reputable resources, and then there are some that you gotta question because when they come from animal sources, there can be prion
Contamination, right? Right.
contamination, and the companies that I've vetted and have talked to them, they are very strict
Now are you
about that.
listing these in your book?
It's not in the book, it's on my website,
It's on the website. Okay.
and the website basically is there to showcase the book, but there's a little thing that says menu, and there's blogs that I'm starting to write, and then lots of videos and some other information. The website, by the way, is renologyiskidneysuccess.com, all one word, no punctuation.
It's maybe hard to type, but it's easy to remember. Renology is
Exactly. I know. My
kidneysuccess.com.
husband said that's too hard to type, and I was like, "Nah, I'm messing with people enough to have them know this. Like every time you have to say that, I'm serious. It's like every time I say it, my limbic system celebrates. I
Yeah,
can, I will.
yeah, and I think that that's a big piece of healing in general that's missed by mainstream, right? That we have to have that attitude because people are walking away from appointments with a prognosis. The prognosis is grim, get your affairs in order, right? If you do these invasive treatments, you have the prognosis of living for another 5 years or whatever it might be, but it implants in the brain, in the psyche, in the energetic system, the lack of success and the defeat, right? And the people that are the most successful, at least I've seen, are the ones that have the positive attitude.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was told, don't be surprised if you lose 5% a year. And I was
Mm.
like, I got fierce. I mean, that was when I was like, I'm sorry, but, because I came home and cried. And in
Yeah.
Chinese medicine, kidney is fear. I mean, how
Yeah.
dare you instill fear in me, kidney doctor? It's just
Yeah.
ridiculous.
That's a really good point. And the point is that there's different ways people approach it when they're given a poor prognosis. Some of them, like you cry, you're scared at first, and then you go, "Look, I'm gonna defeat this." And others just give into it, and they said you have 6 months to live and 6 months to the day, they go. So the
Get around.
brain, the mind has so much to do with it, and I love the fact that you wanna keep repeating it, "Renology is kidney success." Okay, good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so my experience. I, I mean, there's TMI here, but when I had the cancer, I had a nephrectomy. I was very clear, I want this out. But the surgeon left me with some gut issues that were complicating my situation enough that, I had to deal with stuff. And the BPC, the first injection that I spent about a month deep diving into research, changed my life. I went from spending most of my morning sitting in the bathroom to acting like everybody else. Hello, I'm awake. Let's go with the day. I mean, it was really
And you had the
radical.
BPC af let me clarify timing, after you had the nephrectomy.
Oh, yeah, many
Okay.
years. I mean, at this point, I had gotten my GFR up to 51, doing, I mean, I have a tray of supplements, and, we have an amazing garden, and fermented food is part of our every meal that we make ourselves. And so, that's an aside, is like, don't eat out, don't eat junk. Home cooked organic food is life saving. But
Yeah.
anyway, I mean, so that got me started with peptides. First of all, I don't like needles. I'm a needle phobe. I do acupuncture. I love sticking needles in somebody else. I'm a wuss. And so I really am. I admit it. I try hard. My
Yeah.
husband, who does my peptide injections, was a pediatric nurse.
Okay. Well, you got somebody you got the right husband there. That's great. Great. So, the BPC is a prescription versus those small
Yeah, it
bioregulators.
can be. I mean, there's ways to find it, but
Okay.
the FDA has been messing around with the injectables to some extent. You can get oral BPC because that one's made in the stomach. Otherwise, the stomach breaks them up into little pieces. Interesting.
Mm,
The stomach breaks things up into bioregulator size pieces. So when you take bioregulators orally, they don't get
mm,
broken up. And
okay.
so, yeah, they're very effective orally. And what I first heard about was Pilotax, which is the kidney bioregulator. And that was another, like, I got to know about this. And then I started learning about it. I actually listened to some YouTubes that Natalie Needham is kind of a peptide influencer and mentor for me in some ways. And she interviewed um, Bill Lawrence, who's a PhD researcher who worked with the Russians and is replicating his longevity study using these. And I was in the study, so I got an idea of how you sequence these, because they're not like take a pill every day kind of thing. You can cycle them. You can do a month of one and then wait 3 months. You can do 10 days and cycle them every 1 to 3 to 4 months. And each case is unique. So that's where the time spent to assess. There's a bit of a learning curve as a clinician to know how to prescribe these, and they are prescribed, but it's quite amazing when you realize the pineal gland is a huge piece of kidney disease. Whoever talks about that, the thymus. So you cycle these in. The parathyroid is an enormous thing. In fact, in the phosphorus conversation, parathyroid's involved. And so you use a parathyroid bioregulator, it helps with the calcium phosphorus balance, which gets distracted with kidney decline.
So there is a resource where people can go and see the different bioregulators that are there, and you have some resources for that.
Now, I struggle to find all this. The reason I wrote this book, and for the people who can see it visual, I'll show it again. I love the cover. A
It's
Ukrainian
beautiful.
artist did this for me. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful.
I just love the image. I call this the book I needed.
Mm,
There wasn't anywhere where it was all put together. And, that's what I was told, is this is kind of a prime opportunity to learn about the bioregulators, whether you want to know kidney or not. Because
mm,
the first section is about kidney, unique functional medicine ideas. The second one really talks about how did they develop all these? Because people were asking me. So I thought, all right, I'll tell you. Here's the research, how over decades they were developed and evolved. But the third section is a materia medica, and it's by systems. So, like, I'll
mm,
do the kidney brain axis. and then go through all of the brain bioregulators, how they relate to kidney, but also how they relate to other stuff. It really is a text. It's a reference book. It's not a sit down, in the evening and read the whole book kind of thing. I still use it. I still like I'll go and just open sometimes. It's indexed and referenced. I mean, it's an amazing thing.
So this sounds like everybody should go to renologyiskidneysuccess.com and order the book. I want a copy of it. It sounds like an amazing resource for every practitioner to have on hand and for patients who are struggling with kidney.
Because there's a fad of peptides going on.
Yeah, there
And my
is.
goal is that we educated clinicians become the experts. There's a lot of biohacking. I love that because it means people are willing and motivated, but there's a lot
Right.
of messy use. And so
Yes.
I part of my mission in talking about this all the time and doing the website, doing the book is because we all can learn this. It's not that complicated. I mean, I've had doctors say, I can't learn this. I don't want to know this. I don't know peptides. And I'm like, doctor, have you heard of insulin? Insulin
Yeah.
is a peptide. Glutathione is a peptide. The hormones in our body, most of them are peptides.
Yeah.
Now there's a fad with the GLP-1s. That's a
Right.
whole nother conversation. They're useful, but and useful in kidney disease as well, by the way.
But also useful in the context of what you said earlier, doing the foundational pieces. You can't just
Absolutely.
take something and expect it to do miracles in your body and continue to, eat Cheetos and M&Ms and
Yeah.
M's and live in a
Yeah.
toxic world, right? So those are the things that we all need to keep coming back to. And I love that there are things like these bioregulators, like certain herbs and nutrients and all that that we can supply the body with, but we can't do it at the expense of ignoring the foundational pieces, good food,
Absolutely.
yeah, etcetera.
Ever.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah. And to know each person's unique.
and to know that there's no one size fits all in healthcare. I tell people that all the time. The one size fits all is a myth. There's no magical cure for any disease. There's no magical supplement. There's no magical food. It's a composite and it's going to vary from person to person.
Absolutely. I mean, I get the question, what's the one peptide you would recommend? And I'm like, I don't do that. It's not, I mean, I could, but why would I?
Yeah,
This isn't allopathic pill for ill medicine,
exactly.
which is why it's
Exactly.
so exciting. I mean, it's delightful to have tools like this while you're working on learn how to meditate, learn how to listen.
Right. So we're not saying it's just a matter of you'll turn your kidney disease around just by learning how to meditate and eating organic foods. It's a whole combination
All
of
of it.
restoring balance to you. And some of these extra things are going to help facilitate the process, perhaps, in each individual case. So tell me what is your routine right now? What is your regime for maintaining and getting better and better and better every day in your kidney health?
Well, starting with kind of soul work, constantly gratitude and self love, compassion, forgiveness really matters. I can tell you the physiology of it, but I'll let you guys look that up yourself. It's potent. That's the spirit part of it. The mind part of it is really looking at how I think. What are my attitudes? Kind of mind emotion. It's not trivial. Stress comes from our own thinking
Right.
addictions. And
Right.
so journaling, drawing, dancing, I mean, so that brings in exercise, movement. Um, I didn't mention joy. That goes through all of it.
I love that you said joy because I have a foundational principles that I teach people, and it's called the freedom pillars, to be
Yeah.
free
Yeah.
in your body, be able to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
first one is fun, which is joy,
Hmm.
fun, pleasure, all that.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
fun, rest, environment, exercise, diet, outlook, which is the attitude piece you talked about, and mindfulness, which is, all the stuff you've talked about here.
A lot of it for me started with diet. I had been vegan before and had stopped. I
Mm.
had a camp out with a Burning Man crew of people in Oregon and ended up pigging out on sausages for a weekend. I'm oh my god, I mean, after, like, decades of not eating animals, I was like, "Wow, I love this." And so, I stopped doing stuff like that,
Yeah.
in time. I actually had a naturopath tell me, "You have to eat meat." You
No.
don't. It's a mistake with kidney, and there's many reasons, there's it's too acidic, it raises your phosphorus, there's too much nitrogen, so there's a lot of reason why not. So, I returned myself to basically vegan protein with some exceptions. I mean, I live on the beach. Sometimes I eat fish. I eat egg whites. My phosphorus was elevated, which is why I became so poignantly attendant to it. And that's because my gut got damaged. Because, gee, you're not supposed to have high phosphorus in stage 3. Well, thanks, but I do. To me, it was because of the gut issues as a consequence of the surgery. So all that's been resolved to some extent, hopefully. And so growing a lot of food, I'm very strict about organic. I blow it
Mhm.
sometimes. I mean, you don't have to be obsessively perfectionist, but
Right.
close to it. I mean, I have been very, very disciplined. I kind of call it kidney kosher. Like I have rules and I
Yeah.
stick with them because, if you don't, there's consequences. Is God going to come punish you? No, you're going to feel bad though.
Yeah.
Who did it? Me or God? We're all in this together. Let's just keep it together and try to stay on the path.
Stay
So
online.
that helped. Resting when tired, hydrating, exercise, whether it's dance, yoga, gardening, carrying
Yeah.
rocks and logs around.
Yeah.
Excessive exercise, not a good thing.
Mm.
I've been very serious about toxins, eliminating what's ever in the garage, what's ever under the bathroom sink. All of that really, really matters. The diet conversation, you're the expert about that more than I am, but don't do it. It's like,
Yeah.
just don't. I had a group on Facebook for a while with stage 3 kidney patients, and people whined about, the M&Ms and M's and the Pepsi. And it's like, a lot of those people are dead. The ones that listen to me, they're still Facebook friends because I stopped doing that group. As I was evolving with the book, it was just one thing too many. And so know your limitations. Like I'm really good at social isolation because some people are toxic. I avoid toxic people
Yeah. Yeah. That's
as well as I
important.
can. I mean, the world is crazy right now, and so
Yeah.
I'm looking for peace.
And then what about the, supplementation piece? That what does that look like for you? The supplementation, the peptides, etcetera?
Well, it's a sizable chunk. I started doing a NutriVal many years ago, the Genova test, and it was alarming. Actually, I had so many things wrong. This was when I was really quite ill. And so, and I had a high homocysteine level. You got to know homocysteine, you got to know TMAO and ADMA. Those are all really important with CKD.
They are on my they're also very important for cardiovascular disease, and those are on my list.
When you think kidney, it's
It's
cardiovascular.
cardiovascular, right?
And
Yeah.
so when one nephrologist said, "Oh, we don't care about homocysteine anymore. It doesn't affect kidney." And I was like, um,
Excuse me?
yeah. Anyway, I still have some PTSD from some of these conversations, to tell you the truth.
Well,
And many of the patients that I talk to also do. It, it's like this needs to change. And we do have some lovely functional nephrologists these days. There's a handful and hopefully growing. And so I supplement CoQ, endocalyx, B complex, methylated Bs. Um, TUDCA is a really important one. NAC, modified citrus pectin for the galectin 3, which goes askew in CKD. One of the things that I really love, and it's a very easy thing to add to people's regimen, is Acacia Senegal. It's amazing.
It's a fiber, right? It's a soluble fiber.
It basically grabs things in the colon and makes the colon an intestinal dialysis. So it will
Hmm,
grab toxins, it'll grab creatinine, it'll grab phosphorus.
interesting.
I think it also has an effect on heavy metals. I'll do a blog post on this
It
soon. I've
sounds
been
similar to modified, citrus pectin in its
yeah,
effects.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
okay.
it's really a useful piece of it. The other thing that I love and I take religiously is also a peptide, it's a bioregulator, is carnosine, not carnitine, which I have a problem with kidney people because of the TMAO, but carnosine in my
Yeah.
book is like 40 pages just talking about
Oh,
carnosine
wow.
for kidney. It's incredible. And and so worth looking into. Um, I'm gonna do a podcast with Fiona Chin, the kidney naturopath, just about carnosine soon. And so it all this will end up on my website. It's amazing conversations. And aged garlic extract, I think, is a really useful one.
What about, how does that compare to, say, fermented black garlic, where do your
Similar.
basically similar? Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
That's one of my favorite, foods to add to
yeah,
my diet.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like you can't do all of it. And
No.
so you kind of switch off, do something for a few months,
Yeah.
watch clinical status and labs. It's kind of, I live by the ocean, so there's waves. And you come in waves, and some things I'm not like, I take Pilotax. I've been taking it for several years. Uh, that's the kidney bioregulator. When I, when I stop, I might stop for a week or two, and then I'm like, I want it. So there's something about it. I've asked some of the experts who are the designers of these, and they're like, "You're okay. If you have side effects, don't do it." But I said, "There's no side effects." Yeah.
Great,
So it's like, okay, fine.
great.
Mm.
So do you work with people? Do you work one-on-one with people in helping them to put together their plan?
I have a new way of doing this because I don't really have the infrastructure set up. I've been doing it somewhat casually. And so I now have what's called Renology Associates. I am working with Dr. Daniel Reeders. I have him do the initial intake. He's a functional cardiologist and works with mind body stuff in a way that I've never seen a cardiologist do so well. And so then we work together, and because I'm here and he's in California and the patient could be God knows where,
Anywhere.
we just
They
get
can
on a Zoom call, and
Yeah.
I get on, and his infrastructure is taking care of all of the logistics that I actually don't want to do
Don't
anymore.
wanna
And
do.
so,
I don't blame you. It's a
so
lot of work.
a lot what I've been doing is getting on calls with a physician and their patient. And so it's kind of like a peer to peer with the patient listening. And we're able to do it that way. So I'm kind of in evolution. Since I did the book, I'm realizing more and more people are going to want this. I want to train more clinicians. I want more clinicians to know this stuff because
Yeah.
I call it the kidney demic.
Yeah.
It's that
Yeah.
bad. It's
Yeah.
there's so many people, and I get like, oh my God, my GFR went from 90 to 70 in the last 4 months. What do I do?
Mm.
Here we are. Let's talk.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it's perfect. Then I get like, I have a GFR of 32. What do I do? They're
It's a
different
different situation.
conversations. My
Absolutely.
GFR is 19. What do I do? Is also something. And
Right.
at every stage, that which we do is helpful.
Right.
Even on dialysis,
Yeah.
there's, you know, quit eating junk. I mean, dialysis doesn't take care of everything. And so there's needs that remain.
I mean, that's the last thing you wanna go. Are you honestly, I mean, dialysis is not something you want to say, "Oh, well, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. If it gets worse, I'll go on dialysis." Right?
Realize the
That's
first sound is die.
die.
Without
Ooh.
that, you're dead. And so
Yeah.
that's what I realized. I personally, and everybody chooses. I understand some people have much in their life that they want to live for, and they will do dialysis, and that's okay. Um, I didn't want that. I actually did a class trip by myself with my husband to the dialysis center on my island, which means there's way too much kidney disease on a small island.
I
And
can't
I
believe there
walked,
is actually a dialysis center on your island. That's crazy.
the incidence is very high.
Wow.
Diabetes, hypertension, and
Yeah.
distress because Hawaii was overrun. Their
Mhm.
sovereignty was taken. And so there's the mind body piece.
Generational. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I walked in and I said, "Hi." I was pretty sick at that point still. "I'm here to let you know I'll never see you again." And these young Hawaiian women were looking at me like,
What?
"You look crazy." And then I told them what they were like, "Oh, we never want to see you again."
Oh,
So it really took a little humor, a little
yeah.
willingness. Like, if this doesn't work, it's been a good life. And yet, I'm committed but unattached. It's like, I'm not the choreographer. I am just I'm in the dance troupe. And so it really does take a lot of effort to get better. This isn't the easiest. Oh, no problem, you'll just get better. I mean, you really
Right.
gotta mean it.
When you get to that stage, right? So what I wanna really impart with our clinicians and with our health coaches and with just health seekers who are listening is that if you wait for it to get to the point where you need dialysis, it's just this very different than if you're looking for these subtle clues, knowing how to look at the labs and not just assuming that somebody's fatigued for whatever they need CoQ10 or something, that there might be some other stuff and when you put it all together. So making sure that we are doing the right testing, we're doing a Nutrivel, we're looking at their gut microbiome, and we can help people early on when their GFR has dropped from 90 to 70 and go, something's going on here and we need to work to support your kidney function. Yeah,
And it's a lot easier to make the changes when you're not so sick.
exactly. Yeah,
The brain is working
yeah,
better. I mean, there's a certain depression that accompanies pathology.
right,
It's
right.
not like, "Oh, wow, I'm depressed." It's like physiologic
No, it's
depression.
physiologic. It's yeah. So this has been a fascinating conversation. I so appreciate your time and sharing and your book. So we've been talking to Robin Rose, Dr. Robin Rose, and she is the author of Renology Peptides, loaded with brilliant insights on lifestyle,
Good for
integrative, and it's very
weightlifting
big. It's
too.
heavy. You could weight lift with it if
And
you
you
can't
weightlift
get a
with it.
chance to read it, right? Look at that. Good for you. Having been through our own experience and also her medical training and putting it all together into this book that I think it sounds to me like a book that every clinician, anybody that works with clients and patients needs to have because kidney disease unfortunately is overlooked too much. There are too many places that do dialysis, which says there's too many people that need it and we need to reverse it, but we also need to see the early signs and prevent it before it gets way down that
Exactly.
that path.
And
So
by
I
the way,
thank you so much.
my next book is gonna be my kidney garden,
My
about
kidney garden?
the botanicals in my garden that are kidney
Lovely.
friends. Isn't that
Thank you.
cool?
That sounds awesome. That sounds so
Yeah.
awesome. So get the book. You go to Renology is kidneysuccess.com. Renology is kidneysuccess.com.
And you can communicate with me there too. There's an
There's
emailable.
a chat there. Great. So reach out, and I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you being part of our movement to reinvent healthcare because that's the future of healthcare. So thank you. Thank you. And for all of those listening, get the book. Check out the description in the show notes for all the details and really learn about this because the kidney is critical. The kidney, the heart, they make the body run, right? So we can't afford to have them fall apart. Yeah, and they're interconnected. So thank you for being on this journey with us, all of you out there who are out there in the trenches working with people and looking for root causes and looking to help people truly get well, not just cover everything up with band-aids. For more information on functional lab testing, click on this video over here. And don't forget to like and subscribe and share for ongoing information about metabolic health and functional health and nutritional endocrinology.